welcome to Comic Book Day number 2. I'm Joe, and as always, I'm showing off all the comics that I bought this week. And I didn't get a whole lot of comics this week, but they were all good ones. This is Gideon Falls number 2. So far, I'm liking this a lot. Obviously, it's just the second issue, and it's a pretty weird story that they're kind of setting up here, but I like where they kind of expanded in this issue. Now the psychologist is getting into She Saw the Black Barn, now that she's aware of it. And there's, the whole story with the priest is really weird. The first issue he comes into this new town, and first he sees the old priest for the town, who was supposed to have been dead for a couple of weeks. Then now he's been arrested because they found another dead body right outside of the church, I'm pretty sure is where they found it. And so then now they find another dead body, and it turns out to be the original priest. And so yeah, he hasn't been dead for the amount of time that they thought he was dead, now that they finally found his body. And it's really going to prove to be something weird, I think, with that. And so far, it's been a pretty good horror comic. I really like Jeff Lemire. I'm not sure how to say his name, definitely. So write into me if you know how to say his name. Maybe someone out there has met him, so they actually know how to say it. But I've never seen anything of him saying how to say his name, so I don't know it for sure. This is Captain America number 700. This is, I don't know, it's supposed to be this big kind of milestone issue, obviously, with number 700, but I feel like Marvel has done so many renumberings that it hardly matters. I mean, I guess it's cool because in all reality, this is the 700th issue of Captain America, but, like I said, they've just renumbered so many times. It feels like this time they went back to the original numbering just so that they could, eventually reach 700, and they just had 600 for Daredevil, and I think they had 800 for Peter Parker Spider-Man. So, I don't know, I feel like that's kind of just a cash-in, but I guess everyone already knows that. This story, though, I've liked with Captain America in the future, and it wraps up this time. He's finally sent back to the past, and as he's sent back to the past, it proved for a great ending where he has to sacrifice himself, kind of in the same way that he did originally, where he jumps onto a bomb, and then this time the future version of Captain America is blown up, trying to take out the bomb, but you've got the alternate past version of Captain America who was frozen in ice. If you haven't read all this story, this probably sounds confusing, but it was pretty entertaining, so go look at it. But yeah, so the original Captain America, frozen in ice in modern time, just bursts free and gets to continue living his life. Although for some reason still the next issue of this takes place in the future. I don't know if it's going to be an alternate future or what, but I want to see back to, Captain America's story traveling around the country. Although I do wish that they would kind of start to address Secret Empire some in this. I mean, I know they wanted to get back to like your standard Captain America that everyone loves, but you still don't have to ignore such a big storyline, even though people were upset about it very much. I mean, I wasn't upset, though, at all, for that matter. I think Secret Empire was a good story. I don't think they betrayed Captain America by having him, be evil, but it's ended up not even really being him, so what does it matter? That was the biggest betrayal, really, is that they told everyone this is not a weird alternate version of Captain America, this is not a mind-controlled Captain America, but in the end, it kind of was both those things. This is Old Man Logan, number 38. This is part 3 of Moving Target. That's why I've been reading this comic, actually. It's just this storyline. I saw that it was, Wolverine versus Bullseye, sent after him by the Kingpin, and so this one wraps it up. Finally, you get a big fight between Wolverine and Bullseye, and he's actually able to fight Bullseye. And then he goes after Fisk, which, of course, they don't actually fight each other. I do love this cover, though, because Wolverine's got those big, giant claws, and I love any time they give him the way exaggerated, gigantic claws. But this was a good storyline. I don't know if I'm going to keep reading Old Man Logan or not. I've kind of have picked it up at different times, but I've never really stuck with it. Now they're bringing back the normal Wolverine either ways, but this still seems a little more interesting than the normal stuff, so I don't know. I mean, here on the back you can see we've got 4 different tie-in comics for the return of Wolverine, and there's only one of them that looks of any interest to me, this one with Daredevil. But I also don't get how Daredevil's going to fit into this whole story, so I don't know. It just seems like you're fitting in Wolverine to everyone's comics. I don't know. I like the little stories that they've had, though, in, spread out through different comics that have the little return of Wolverine. So I've really been enjoying the art of Old Man Logan. I like the covers a lot, especially, I mentioned his big giant claws. I like seeing those. And this uses that kind of, I still don't actually know what it's called, where you kind of have these little dots making up, in this case it's more just making up all the shadow. But I really love seeing that in comics always. And then the art on the inside I've enjoyed a lot because it kind of reminds me of like older styles of comics. It really specifically reminds me of Neil Adams and the most recent Dead Man comic that he's been doing. And I like just kind of this weird, they don't look very realistic humans at all. But I still like, sometimes that's good in comic books. It's very like classic kind of style, and I like how, I feel like for Old Man Logan, it kind of makes sense, because it's like he's an older hero either ways, so maybe he's got this older art style going with him. Kind of like an older way of telling a story. This is The Flash, number 44. This is also basically the end of a storyline. It ended... What was the story? Oh, yeah. Perfect Storm. I couldn't think of it because I've been thinking about the, Flash Wars coming up. And they built up with that a long time ago with the annual that came out. I don't know, last month it came out, I think. But I think it's now finally going to pick up with this. But this was a good end to this storyline. I love Grodd, so it was good to see him come back. It was, I thought it was even kind of funny where the guards from Gorilla City came back in the end and arrest Grodd. But I don't know, somehow that's going to tie into one of their new comic books they had a little note for, so probably Grodd's not going to really go to Gorilla City and be held in jail for long, at least. But this has been good. I liked seeing the Flash team up with, with the 2 Wally Wests, with Godspeed. Now at the end they have Mina back. She's not under Grodd's control anymore, so... And they've got Avery, the Flash of, I don't know, Justice League China. She's the Flash of China, too, technically, I guess. But yeah, it's been a good team up. I don't know. They haven't done a lot with Barry and Iris that I've really enjoyed. And a lot of this is, this like letter that Barry Allen wrote to Iris. But they're, a classic comic book kind of couple, so at least they're maybe going to like get them back together and stop doing this kind of like will they, won't they thing that's been going on for the past 44 issues. Or probably even more. I didn't read a whole lot of the Flash, the New 52 Flash. I read the later stuff, and I think they had him and Iris once again doing kind of a will they, won't they thing. I'm pretty sure that, I know one thing of the New 52 was like removing all their like love interests and girlfriends and boyfriends and stuff for the superheroes. So, I don't know. They haven't gotten back to it yet, so just move on with it. This is Dry County number 2. This so far has been a pretty good comic. It's kind of a slow burn, but it is a detective story kind of, so it's been, that's understandable. The first issue was basically all about the main guy meeting the... Oh man, I can't think of what her name is right now. Oh yeah, Janet. The first one is all about the main guy meeting Janet, and then he's fallen for her, and then she disappears at the beginning of this one. So this is kind of him investigating her ex-boyfriend, one of her ex-boyfriends, It doesn't really lead him anywhere other than to investigate another ex-boyfriend, which so far hasn't really taken him anywhere, but I don't know if he completely realizes it, but, you know, he's been chased a couple of times now and ran off the road, once on his bike and once when he's just checking his mail. So, obviously someone is following him and is trying to stop him from finding Janet. So I don't know. I don't know what to think of this. I'm enjoying it so far, though. I like the artwork of it the most. And yeah, I think it really is making up for, I mean, I guess so far it's 2 issues, so it's hard to say. But not much has happened in those 2 issues. So let's take a look inside Dry County #2. Like I said, I really like this artwork a lot. This actually, it's all pink now, but it's an image from the first comic, and it was actually one of the ones that made me want to read it the most. This is Janet's reflection in a washing machine, a clothes washer, and yeah, I really like the way they do that. You know, you can see the water running down off the glass, and I don't know, it looks better a little bit, you know, obviously with the normal like blue color that it had, but yeah, that image really, when I read the preview of it in Image Plus, it made me really want to read this comic. And this, I think this is a better shot of that image that's on the cover. I like with the actual coloring, you know, not just all pink. I get where they do it for the cover, but I really think that this is a better look for this picture. But yeah, I like this art style a lot. I know it's very, it kind of reminds me of, like, you know, different comic strips that you see. Maybe it's purposeful too, because the main character is a comic strip artist for the most part. A little back image there that's kind of cool. I like when they have something interesting on the back as opposed to just an ad. Alright, so that's the end of the episode. Thank you for watching, and as always, you know, go like and subscribe to the channel. Make sure to come back next week. There will be more comics, more stuff to talk about. Thanks.